this Kyler game-winning video from Sunday so much, I'm going to show it to you again while I ask you this question. What do Tom Cruise, Kevin Hart, Nick Wright, and Kyler Murray all have in common? They are all very, 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 very successful but very short men, which makes this quote from Kyler's head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, absolutely fantastic. Kyler, being 5'9", couldn't see over anybody to see what was going on in the end zone on that throw. He had to actually look back at the big screen to see if D-Hop caught it. I love it. Life is short. So are you, Kyler. So is Nick. Embrace it and move on. That's what I say about that. All right, let's talk some Andy Reid now. One of the nicest people you will ever meet. I know that. I covered him for years. So what made him blow his temper a few weeks back? Well, the Chiefs have just one loss on the year so far this season. They fell to the Vegas Raiders back in Week 5. It was a bad loss. After the game, the Raiders team bus apparently took a victory lap around Arrowhead Stadium after the win. It didn't sit well with Andy, who talked about the stunt yesterday ahead of Sunday's rematch.
Well, listen, they won the game, so they can do anything they want to do. They end up winning the game. That's not our style, but we'll get ourselves back, ready to play, and that's where we're at.
I mean, you can find a smart aleck bus driver in Kansas City who made some snide comments when we got on the bus. Maybe that's why we drove around the stadium, just to tick him off. You know, this is ridiculous. Next question.
Brian Restberg is back with us again. Brian, you played for Andy. You know him better than anyone here. We heard all these rumors that this really made him angry, like really, really angry. Why do you think he was so upset? Why did this get to him so much?
Well, Jenna, you know, I've been around Andy for a long time, and I know him very well. And there's only been a couple times I've seen him upset. One was we were in the Super Bowl, and Freddie Mitchell was giving bulletin board material to the Patriots, and he was ready to send Freddie home at that point. And this may be almost in the same vein, because at some point he's saying, we want to play the game the right way, and that's just the way Andy is. We want to respect the others, we want to respect the opposing team, and we want to do the things the right way. And this is going to give Andy bulletin board material. This is going to force Andy to come up with some special plays that are going to score even more touchdowns against the Raiders in this game. You know, I just believe Andy's going to go all out to win this thing this weekend. It's going to be huge.
B, let me ask you this question. Like, tradition, what bus did you get on your entire career? What bus? There's like 6 buses. What bus did you get on?
I usually got on the first bus for the most part. And that's the bus that Andy normally is on. So, yeah.
Okay, I say all that, okay, guys, because this is routine, this tradition. When I used to play for the Denver Broncos and fly into the Kansas City Chiefs to go play the Kansas City Chiefs, it was the same bus drivers. So they're trained to be cordial. When you get on that bus, they could be fans of the Kansas City Chiefs, but they're going to have a Denver Broncos hat on, and they're trained to be cordial and not to say anything like this. So I absolutely get why Coach Gruden felt the way he felt. Now, sometimes you don't have all the information. Andy Reid, I would be ticked off too. But then when you see this, you got to kind of say, well, I kind of get it a little bit. Because when you get on the bus and this dude has your hat on, and then he starts saying things that may be slick or out of the side of the mouth, then I would do the same thing. I would feel some type of way, and I probably would have the bus driver drive around 5 times. So I get it.
Let's go. That's great. So here's the thing. Brandon and Brian, do you know who neither one of you ever played in your entire NFL careers? You might have played the Chiefs. You never once played the defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. It's a little different now. A little different edge, a little different swagger, even, evidently, a little different bus drivers, where you come into Arrowhead and guess what we tell you? We're going to kick your ass the hell out of here. Now, the Raiders happen to get a victory, and good for them. It's the greatest moment in Raiders franchise since Rich Gannon was their quarterback. They deserve massive applause. It's the best win of the Gruden era, and when the Gruden era ends, it probably still will be the best win of the Gruden era. So I'm very happy they got that moment, and I'm very happy they took the luxurious lap around Arrowhead, which if you haven't been to Kansas City, It's not one of those cool downtown arenas. It's not on the Vegas Strip. It's in the middle of nowhere in Raytown, Missouri, across the street from a Taco Bell and a Drury Inn. So I don't know what they were looking at, but it ain't great. But I hope they enjoyed it, because the next time they get a victory in Kansas City or a victory against the Chiefs will probably be when they have a new coach, a new quarterback, maybe a new general manager. Not to fire Mayock and Gruden. It'll just be a very long time. And here's what I know, Wilds. I know there is not a team in the league Patrick Mahomes likes playing more than the Raiders. He has more touchdowns against the Raiders than anybody else, more yards against the Raiders than anybody else. He'd have more wins against the Raiders than anybody else if the Broncos could field somewhat of a competitive team and not just get annihilated by the Chiefs every time. So what I expect this weekend is the Chiefs to, for the first time in a month, be motivated. Be locked in. Have something to play for other than, yeah, we know we're going to win. We know we're going to be 14-2 or 15-1 when the playoffs start. So thank you, John Gruden. And thank you to that bus driver in Kansas City for getting this whole thing going.
I love it. I mean, the only option here is you have to buzz the stadium like Top Gun if they win, Nick. That's the only option. I mean, Brian, I like that they've got Andy Reid's going to have some extra trick plays, but you have to just zoom past the stadium, and the guy will have his coffee cup like, oh, Maverick, you did it again. But Nick,
I want names.
maybe the bulletin board material I knew I'd get you going. But maybe the bulletin board material goes the other way. Maybe John Gruden is like, hey, we beat these guys once. Now they're mad about our victory lap. You got so many things to worry about in the world, and the Chiefs are crying about driving the bus around the stadium one time. I think the bulletin board material could go the other way, Nick, and get the Raiders even more fired up for the defending champions.
Well, I don't think that, and Brandon, I'll throw it to you. Because obviously no one's going to be crazy enough to pick the Raiders to actually win this week.
Oh,
I'll take the Chiefs.
I'll do it.
And I'll lay 20.5. I'll take the Chiefs minus 20.5. And if you want the Raiders to keep it within 3 scores, which I think would be a moral victory for them this weekend, Brandon.
I'll take that. I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah,
do you think Patrick Mahomes is going to come out and have more no-look passes? Like, look, at the end of the day, it's going to come back to X's and O's. You said it. You know, Patrick Mahomes, he's been playing lights out against this team since he's entered into the NFL. Nothing's going to change. It's going to come down to X's and O's. And who figured out this team first this year was the Oakland Raiders. So I'll take that bet.
Oh, I love it.
Okay,
I love it.
I'll lay 20.5.
I said the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. No one's going to correct me. It's the Las Vegas Raiders.
It's all right. I forgot.
It's okay.
I whispered it.
Guys, I was thinking back to my division days against the Cowboys as well as the Washington football team and the New York Giants. And when you think about this is actually good for football. John Gruden is great for football.
Totally.
And I think Nick is right when you talk about motivation. Now the Kansas City Chiefs have more motivation, and I think it's exciting for football. But listen, this is the expectation between division foes. We hate those guys. They hate us. We play them 2 times a year. This is exactly what you should do.
Nick wasn't even going to watch this game. Now he's got a reason to watch. Let's play a little.